The theme, by the way, for our real estate panel discussion is transforming real estate, the power of the virtual tour, AI and data in shaping our markets. Please welcome our first panellist, Evelyn Henry. Background in marketing and media, and founded her own company for the brokerage of luxury properties in Austria and other sought-after regions in Europe 14 years ago. A Master of Science for Real Estate Valuation and Management at the Vienna University of Technology provided Evelyn with the necessary grounding. A solid professional basis, coupled with years of successful sourcing and marketing for upscale, modern and historic properties such as castles, villas, penthouses, peninsulas, lake and sea properties to name but a few, ensures that Evelyn obtains the best results for buyers and sellers. Ladies and gentlemen, Evelyn Henry. Our next panellist is Kelsey Sellers from Savills. Kelsey is from Savills World Research, an associate director on the Savills World Research team. Kelsey has a focus on global property trends, prime residential and resort markets, as well as the role of cities in the property markets. She's also written extensively on global office market trends. Prior to joining Savills, Kelsey worked in property and economics in the US. Kelsey holds a BA in economics and political science from Agnes Scott College in Atlanta, and a master's degree in international relations from IE in Madrid. Kelsey, welcome. Our next panelist is Nguyen Viet Hung. Please join us. The Weland Real Estate Company, the #1 consulting firm in real estate in Vietnam. Now, he has many different busy jobs. He is also the CEO of We Global, in charge of foreign real estate market, the CEO of Pan Farm Joint Stock Company, the Chief Operating Officer and Business Development Manager at Pan Group, the #1 listed company in food and agriculture in Vietnam. Over the years, he's held various senior management positions in leading finance, investments and banks, such as VP Bank, Global Partners Fund Management Company, Indochina Capital Investment Fund. He's a graduate of the Bachelor of Business at the University of Technology from Sydney, and also has a Master of Applied Finance at Macquarie University, and is an AusAid Scholar who also qualified as a Chartered Accountant as well. This is her book, and last but by no means least, please welcome Michael Jalben. Michael leads Forbes Global Properties and has more than 2 decades of incredible experience in the global residential real estate industry, specifically focusing on the development and expansion of far-reaching international affiliate networks. Before Forbes Global Properties, Michael served as the Executive Vice President of the Global Business Development at HSF Affiliates, where he worked with the Berkshire Hathaway Home Service teams and specifically focused on the development and expansion of the international network. Prior to that, Michael was Vice Chair and Partner at ERA Europe, where he led the organisation's successful growth efforts. What a panel. Please welcome them, ladies and gentlemen. So, a lot of different roles, different views, different viewpoints. So we're going to try and cover all that and talk about the role of technology and the role of data and how it fits together as well. Evelyn, I want to start with you, with your incredible properties in Austria. When I said castles, I wasn't exaggerating. Evelyn sells the most incredible Schloss, phenomenal stately homes. It's quite a portfolio. What brings your clients to these properties? What brings them to Austria?
Well, what brings them to Austria is a bit of another theme than what brings them to me. But that's already the challenge. The challenge, what brings them to Austria. Austria is not the place to go to, like, let's say, Monaco or maybe now Dubai.
Not yet, we'll go after this afternoon.
Not yet, not yet. So my clients do have one leg in Austria somehow, a granny or a new girlfriend or well, whatever, or a business, or many vacations that have been so beautiful that they decided to come more often or even have their second, third, fifth home there. So that's the one story, and the other answer is it's a bouquet of activities that finally bring the either buyers or sellers to me. So it's not, it would be an easy job if I would know the one mean that brings them all to me, then it would be cheap, much cheaper and easier, but no, it's really a bouquet of activities.
Okay, so that said, let's talk about the topic of technology then. So how are you, in your very specialized skills that you have, in your specialized market that you have, how are you using technology to inform their decision making? What are the tools that you're utilizing?
I was very happy in the last years that drone flights came up, for example, because I do have glass properties and you can present them in their whole beauty for sure much better if you have a huge flight towards a castle and see all the estate around them. So that was one of the newer technologies that I started to use. Then for sure I started doing social media on an intensive basis, diverse of them and professional. So I do have a team who takes care of my postings. That's why I need beautiful pictures. Thank you for posting. And we do use all kinds of platforms when I started the business, the hardest thing was that I have not had references. But now I'm happy about my many beautiful sold properties that I can show and the ones that I can offer. And these beautiful properties advertised wherever. And even only as an example, because some of my properties I do have to sell discreetly, so I cannot show everything I have, but I can show an example, and that attracts people that might be interested in this very property or in a similar one.
All right, well, we'll talk more about those points in more detail in a little bit. Evelyn, thank you. Michael, welcome. Technology is at the heart of your group, Forbes Global Properties, because it's a global organisation and you're all in different locations. Tell us more about how it all started 4 years ago. How did the group get underway?
Thank you, Natalie. The group started, our founder, God rest his soul, a gentleman named Jeff Hyland. Jeff Hyland had famously founded Hilton Hyland with Rick Hilton decades ago. And out of that one office firm in Beverly Hills, they sold on average $4 billion worth of product a year. Just amazing. Over the years, they had been part of other networks, and Jeff really loved the impact that a global network had on his company, his agents, his customers. Having said that, he had a couple of things he was concerned about. He thought that network leadership tended to make decisions that benefited the network ownership as opposed to the members. And frankly, he thought they were always trying to sell him something he didn't need. So the first thing he did was he looked around the world and picked up another group of what I would call co-founders, people that he had been connected to over the years. And the second thing was they knew they had to get the branding right. They had a relationship with Forbes, and the CEO of Forbes loved the idea. So technology, how are we connected? Well, the first thing is the power of the brand. Forbes.com has really evolved over the last 10 or 15 years. Forbes has been around as the storyteller of entrepreneurs for over 100 years. But the digital platform that's been created, we just updated our statistics. We have 167 million distinct visitors per month to Forbes.com. And those are the high net worth, ultra high net worth, or frankly those that are aspiring to be. So that's the first part. Second part is we are a global organization, so we have to use technology to connect in Zoom. In fact, a couple of my colleagues are here from Scotland, our editors, and I feel like I talk to them a few times a week because I do. But that's one part. The second part really plays off what we're talking about in Austria, which is how do you present yourself, your company, what's your footprint. So social media is a big part of what we do. Our editors are a key component of what we do. They have a group of about a dozen writers around the world who create a lot of content. That content gets published, Forbes.com, ForbesWorldProperties.com, our Instagram accounts, etc. So it's about creating the noise of who we are and getting the public, if you will, the buyers and sellers to know who we are. But all that does is get you ready for when the work begins. It's all about relationships, then it's trusted advice, and then you get to be involved in the transaction. But technology is a lot of work.
Well, we'll learn more about it as we go along. Michael, for the moment, thank you. If you could just pass the microphone, thank you so much. Tell us more about the virtual tools that you are using at Weland in Vietnam.
Good afternoon, everyone. So Weland, we are the pioneer in applying the technology in real estate service sector in Vietnam. So during the COVID time, we invested in the application for our company. We call the Connect, belonging to Weland, where we initially we organized online trainings for thousands of people because we couldn't meet each other. And afterwards, we incorporated a lot of functionalities in the tool, including the management of all the brokers, to do the online testing before they are licensed to sell our projects, and we also do the project checklist management and other functions. So as we have more demands in the business, we keep adding new tools in our WeConnect platform. For the project and for the website, we now also incorporate the chatbot, which can handle Q&As, basic Q&As for customers. So this is very useful, which now you can see in most of the buttons, but we are already set up in our website for individual projects. We also bring the automated customer service system into our project as well. So each project we have like a long list of potential customers, up to like 5 or 10,000, depending on the volume of the number of units we are going to sell. So the automated CS system allows our sales agent to filter the potential customers before passing the shortlist to the personnel in charge. And those are examples and also we also use AI and VR for our project as well. So this is an important tool at the moment. So before, about like 4 or 5 years ago, it's very difficult to sell to customers without like they are visiting the project physically. But now we can do it through our AI and VR application into our website or like our sales channels. So this is very different. So for example, in the past we sell to less than 1% of the customer with this tool, but now we can have up to 5 or 10% customer from expat overseas, like from Taiwan or China.
And they've not even seen the property in person.
Yes, they can like imagine the project by our tool. They don't have to come because some of the expats they relocate, so they have to buy before they come with the family. Or there are some like Vietnamese like community overseas, like in Australia or in the US. If they wait for their trip back home, like a few months later, probably they couldn't buy the units they want, so they want to like do the deposit before they come back. So this allows customers to choose the properties they want.
Well done for putting that plan there those years ago. And it's obviously central to what you're doing now. Thank you for that, Hun. Kelsey, you produce, you don't need me to tell you, yeah, but I'm telling these people. Kelsey produces the World Cities Report. Technology is at the heart of that. So just give us an insight into, we'll talk more about the report and what it says shortly, but in the meantime, just tell us where you draw the information from. How do you inform that report?
So the World Cities Report is, we track 30 markets around the world. We look at capital valuation, rental movements, and yields in the sort of 65 markets, the top 5 to 10% of properties by pricing. And how we do that is Savills has a massive global network of offices, of agency, where we rely on local market insight, local intelligence to produce essentially valuations of properties around the world. And now we've been running this index for over 15 years. And so when you have that wealth of data and insight, you're able to really draw out trends that you wouldn't be able to see otherwise with a much shorter data series. And then, you know, with what everyone else is saying, with sort of the pandemic, we've been able to really capitalize on using sort of video calls, being able to communicate with people in a much more efficient way. I can sort of start my day as I did today, calling Singapore and Hong Kong, and then I will finish my day this afternoon speaking to our teams in Los Angeles. And pre-pandemic, that requires so much more planning and effort. Whereas today, it's a quick sort of Teams call.
Yeah, and nobody thinks anything of it. So we'll talk about, I know that you can share with us some of the headlines of the brand new report that you've read. We'll get on to that in a minute. Evelyn, we talked a little bit about you using social media and the beautiful drone overflying the wonderful properties. Let's talk about AI. How have you felt about AI and whether or not it should come into Henrik Real Estate?
I'm actually using it. I'm talking or discussing with ChatGPT every day several things, whatever it is, legal things, research. I have, in order to come up with prices for my properties, I try to figure out what comparisons are there in the market, in the internet. So yes, I'm using it on a more or less daily basis and even more often a day. And what I also do is I produce once in a while, even I've learned to do that, pictures, because sometimes I work with renderings. Sometimes these are two different, or more than two different possibilities. If you have a rotten home, in order to show somebody how it could look like, then either you have somebody professionally make a rendering, or you are coming up with an own picture. What I did, for example, sometimes the gardens, if I have the wrong season, and I have to pick up a property in autumn and no leaves on the trees, then, well, in the past I have worked with a graphics designer and he painted all the trees in green, and now I can do that much easier with AI. So yes, I'm using it in the meantime, and I'm happy that this possibility is there.
Okay. Hung, what about you? I presume you're embracing AI at Weland and at WeConnect as well.
Yes. For our business, the application of AI is very rapid, and we are trying to adapt technology to our service sector. As I mentioned before, for example, the automated CS system. So what actually we call a machine calling potential customers. So, for example, we have a very big project, like up to 1,000 units. That means if the conversion rate is about 10%, we need to call about 10,000 customers. So in the past, one day, one good salesman can go up to like 20 potential customers. That's quite good already. And in order to cover like 10,000 customers, we need a very big team. Our sales agent need a very big team. But now with AI and the automated customer service system, that means they only need a very small team, a very compact team. And after the first or second rounds, we have a shortlist, let's say 2,000 real potential customers, and handling to the personnel to be in charge. Or for example, another one I mentioned before, like the chatbot in our website, that allows answering the Q&A of customers 24 hours per day, 7 days per week. So we don't depend on the human being anymore, because we cannot request our staff to work 24 hours, but the machine can answer 24 hours per day the basic questions. And sometimes, the customers, after their kids sleep, they can start searching for real estate, and they might have questions at 11 p.m. And if they have a quick response, they're more happy to buy the product. So that's the customer satisfaction we want to bring. Other things, we also use AI. For example, the customer database. That's very important for us. Recently, for new projects, we normally buy the database based on the behavior of the customer groups. For example, for the high-end real estate products, normally we set the criteria to buy the database. For example, the people who search for branded fashion on the Facebook, the people who look for the properties with high values.
Yeah.
So those people would be in the shortlist as potential clients for the list. So many interesting things we have to learn and adapt.
Thank you for sharing that experience with us. Michael, do you want to share that microphone? You talked about the remarkable footprint that Forbes themselves have in the digital sphere. That 267 million unique users on a monthly basis. What does that deliver to you and your members who are working very closely with you, with the Forbes brand? What does it bring to Forbes Global Properties associate members?
That's a great question. It brings, frankly, a lot of views. We have a share of a voice on a global basis that's very impactful, which frankly, when our sellers are trying to sell homes, they want to make sure that it's getting the best opportunity to be exposed, and that's a big part of it. And when buyers want to buy, as we all know, they want to be able to see what they want to see when they want to see it. And the technology enables that. So AI, virtual reality, Zoom, you name it, to us that's all just enabling technology. It's then how do you represent yourselves, the work behind it. But there's no question that the power of the brand is enormously helpful to not only bring in buyers and sellers, but frankly it gives a halo of confidence to the buyers, the sellers, and the agents that work with us, that they've got a quality of execution that they just feels unparalleled. And we do business with our teammates and other brands all the time, and it's all about trying to do the best job for the buyer or seller. That's really the bottom line.
Okay, Kelsey, we'll talk more about World Cities Report in a minute. Hilton, I just want to ask you, we heard about some incredible things that you're doing and embracing these new technologies. What's the downside? That you can share it with us. We won't tell anyone. What are the pitfalls that we need to think about, to look out for?
Let me share with you 2 points I'm thinking of. The first one is about investment cost. So investment is a new technology. Might be very expensive and time consuming, especially for the small agencies. So one solution is outsourcing, actually. But as time passes, you see the cost of investment will become smaller and smaller. That means the barrier to entry will become lower. And there will be challenge, and there will be continuous requirements for the realtors to face up with the newer technology. So the sector can change very rapidly. So, for example, in Vietnam, for some of the agencies who are working with us, like 3 years ago, they might be very big, like with a few hundred staff. But now, some with 50 staff could be much bigger because they know how to apply technology. But who knows? Next year, maybe someone who invests in the new technology, they might be growing much faster and becomes a leader in the sector, in the service sector. So that's a challenge. And the other one is about the learning curve for the new technology. So, for example, the experienced salesmen, normally they're in the mid, like 30 years old or like 40 years old. Like how many of you here know how to make like a TikTok video for like a business purpose? I think it's very challenging for
None of them, no, or they're not admitting it in case you ask
it's
them
not
to
like
do it.
me. I don't know how to make like TikTok videos for the business purpose. You know, for the personal fun is not too difficult, but for the business purpose, it's not easy at all. So that's a challenge. The experience, like people, like older generations have to face up with.
Yeah, you've got to ask the young people.
They have to learn. Now the young people, because the customers, younger customers, they like it.
Yeah.
So they access Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok more.
Yeah.
So they're potential customers.
Yeah.
So as a salespeople, you have to use the new channels to approach them.
So you have to be open to these things.
Yeah.
You as the CEO have to think, yes, we've got to.
And
But
we
it-
face up with the
great.
situation is like the newbies, the young salesmen, they know this technology very well. First, they don't have experience, enough experience with the personal interest skills. So this is something like the management of the company have to manage. So for the real estate, normally the ticket size is quite big. So personnel quality is still very important. And some technology, for some aspects, technology or AI cannot replace. So we always have to educate our agencies, sales staff to balance between technology and personal development
We'll
skills.
talk more about that later, about how replaceable. Oh, you're hopefully not at all. Kelsey, tell us about the World Cities Report and how your real estate professionals and the companies that are taking the data and using the information, what are they drawing from it? What are they learning? What is it teaching?
So I'm very lucky in that everything that I've written, that I produce, is for public consumption. So there's nothing that's behind the paywall. So the research that my team does not only helps the sort of established business and our global network of agencies and associates, but it's also available for our clients. It's available for anybody who is interested. But what it does, particularly the World Cities Index, is because we do it every 6 months, it provides as close to real-time knowledge about what's going on in sort of the top 30 global property markets. You can say, I'm interested in, say, buying a flat in Barcelona, what are prices doing in Barcelona? Or I want to rent a flat in Bangkok, what's going on there? Or I have, say, a couple of houses in Miami, what are yields doing there? And we have that information that we're presenting to our own network and to clients and to anybody who wants to know more about the global property sector.
Can you give us I know that when did the last report come out? It's
Last week.
Last week.
Brand
So this
new.
is hot off the press. Couple of headlines. What's the most? Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Yes.
What's the most startling fact that you feel? What's the biggest headline that's come out of it?
Well, startling, probably not where I would go. What I would say is that it's really interesting to watch how the changes that we've seen in interest rates have affected both pricing, but also the rental market. So as interest rates have come down, what we've seen is the gap in the increase between how much rental prices are outpacing sales prices. That's narrowing, and what we can assume from that is that as more people see that the interest rates are coming down, they who might have been, say, sheltering in the rental market, waiting for interest rate clarity, they're now moving back into the purchase market. And so it's a call to action for all of us who are salespeople to call your clients and say, here's what's going on, and here's how we can help you in this massive decision.
I believe the report comes out every 6 months.
Correct.
Twice a year. So do you see big changes? Are there big, from one report to the next? You don't have to give specific examples, I don't want to put you on the spot, but are there startling changes that happen in that relatively short space of time?
COVID was one, absolutely. We had it was the first time that global property markets had shuddered to a halt. And you can actually see that in both the transaction activity, because nobody was moving, but also the incredible amount of uncertainty meant that there was also uncertainty around pricing. And so you had lots of people who sort of turned to us and to other advisors and go, what do I do? And with something such as the World Cities Report, we're able to say, well, here's what we're seeing, here's how we would advise based on your specific situation. How would you like to proceed? So I think COVID and the global financial crisis, not exactly two of the happiest events in sort of global economies, but what we also saw was that rapid rebound afterwards. After the property markets reopened, we saw people saying, okay, I've done 6 weeks in London in my flat. I'd like to move out to the countryside, or I want to go to the sunshine. What we're seeing currently is that sort of lifestyle driver is a huge thing.
Made more people want to buy a castle in Austria, didn't it?
Yes, it did. After COVID, or even during COVID, people just found out that having space around them and having greening around them is something very, very valuable. So that really pushed the market. It did.
Michael, we've heard a lot about technology, especially from Hogan, and the incredible work that they've been doing to streamline what goes on behind the scenes at Weland. How important, in your view and to your members, is still, at the end of the day, this personal relationship? And I'll talk to you more about that in a moment. The relationship that the realtors have with their clients and vice versa. Are we going to be replaced anytime soon by these AIs, do you think?
I'm sure certain of the work will be replaced, but when it comes to the buyer, or frankly the seller, it's all about personal relationships. In fact, the way we describe it is there's 3 levels to a transaction. First is the relationship. And as you know, a relationship could take a month. A relationship could take 10 years to develop. But you've got to get the relationship. Only once do you have a relationship are you going to ask for advice. Now you can become a trusted advisor. Once you traverse that, then you'll be invited in to be part of a transaction. Now, when you're dealing with the high net worth and ultra high net worth buyers and sellers, it's not really a home, it's a property, it's an investment. So the pressures that you might have if you're relocating with your family, that's really a different set of buyers and sellers than what I'm describing. I'm describing folks, frankly, that have great wealth, that are really looking to make sure that they take great care of their wealth, that they are stewards of it for the next generation, and they're very cautious. And again, so here's a little trick if you want to build relationships with these folks. Find something in common. Maybe you're a golfer, maybe you're a boater, maybe you like artwork, but find a relationship and don't pretend to be a billionaire, but have a relationship where you can really build something that's of earnest and then blossom from there.
Evelyn, thank you so much, Michael. Do you have anything to add to that? I mean, you really have to, it's not like buying and selling properties that are at high volume or there's a lot of. Each time you have to find a new set of clients potentially for this new, unique and distinct property. How do you build those relationships? Quickly.
You have to be honest, very clear, and also binding in your manner how you treat these people. And for sure, you have to listen to them carefully and ask them really fine questions. What are their must-haves and their nice-to-haves, and then build a whole bunch of profile from that what you heard, and then act and respond quickly so that they really just feel that they are heard and you really want to solve their thing, whatever it is, selling or buying or both.
And at the end of the day, you still need that relationship with the client, don't you? Even if you're using the technology, you still need to have the relationship between you as a company and your customer.
Yeah, that's the key. If you want to sell more than one product to the customers, especially in the high-end product segment, you need to have a very deep relationship with the customers. The technology can support initially, but later on, it's all about relationship.
Thank you so much. Kelsey, last question for you because we're running out of time. We all know that we're living in uncertain times for all sorts of reasons. How resilient, in your view, as somebody who is studying the real estate market globally, day in, day out, how resilient do you think the real estate market is globally?
I like a nice easy question to wind us all up.
It feels like a difficult question to me. I'm glad you're playing.
So if we look at, it's 2025. We are now a quarter of a century into the new millennium. I know. But the world today is so incredibly different to what we saw in 2000. And through all of the sort of the upheaval, the ups, the downs, everything that we've seen in the last 25 years, property has retained, and I would argue that it's grown its purpose for all of us. And I don't see that changing. I know we talk about, for your clients, it's not just a home, but for everybody, property is not just four walls and a roof. It is a home, whether it's your first or your 15th, and it's always going to have that sort of intrinsic value, no matter what.
Okay. Thank you so much, all of you. Evelyn, Kelsey, Hum, and Michael. We appreciate your time. Show your appreciation.